The last piece of bad luck you experienced wasn't luck at all. It was an appointment. You will learn to see the invisible chain of causation that connects your deepest thoughts to the events of your daily life, revealing a hidden logic behind everything you experience. Understanding this principle is the difference between being a passenger in your own life and taking the wheel, because the system is running constantly whether you are aware of it or not. The core of this is an ancient idea, often summarized in 7 words. Every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. On the surface, this is obvious. A gust of wind slams a door. A spark starts a fire. We see this simple physics everywhere. But this principle extends far beyond the visible world. It operates on the mental and emotional planes with the same unbreakable logic. A thought is a cause. A persistent mood is a cause. A deep-seated, unexamined assumption about the world is a powerful, radiating cause. Everything that happens is an answer to something that preceded it. Nothing is created from nothing. The principle admits no exceptions. This is where most people get stuck. They live their lives on the plane of effects. They are the consequence. When things go well, they feel lucky. When things go wrong, they feel like victims of circumstance. They are constantly reacting to the world, pushed and pulled by events that seem to come out of nowhere. The Hermetic teaching suggests this is a choice. You can rise to a higher plane, the plane of causation. Imagine a person in a huge crowd, being jostled and moved along with the flow. That's living on the plane of effect. Now, imagine someone on a balcony overlooking the crowd. They can see the patterns, the choke points, the direction the crowd is moving. They aren't exempt from the crowd, but they have a higher perspective. By seeing the causes, they can choose their path. They can decide where to enter the flow or to avoid it entirely. Becoming a master of your life isn't about breaking the rules. It's about understanding the rules so deeply that you can use them to create a desired outcome. But how can something as intangible as a thought create a physical event? The mechanism is more direct than you might think. The bridge between the mental and the physical is another Hermetic law, the principle of vibration. Nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. Modern physics agrees. Every atom, every particle is a whirl of energy, vibrating at a specific frequency. And your thoughts are no different. Each thought, each feeling, each belief has its own unique vibrational signature. Fleeting thoughts are like sparks. They flicker and die out. But a thought that you hold consistently, a thought charged with the powerful energy of emotion like fear or desire, becomes your dominant frequency. It becomes a steady, resonant hum. Think of it like a tuning fork. If you strike a tuning fork tuned to the note C, any other C-tuned forks in the room will begin to vibrate in sympathy. They can't help it. It's a law of physics. Your dominant mental state is the tuning fork you are striking over and over all day long. You are broadcasting a signal. The principle of cause and effect states that this signal must have a corresponding effect. It must attract circumstances, people, and opportunities that are vibrating on a similar frequency. This isn't magic, it is resonance. A person whose mind is constantly vibrating with thoughts of lack, resentment, and scarcity will find themselves resonating with conversations, news articles, and events that confirm that worldview. They will physically notice things that someone in a state of gratitude and opportunity simply overlooks. The world presents a near infinite field of possibilities. Your vibration determines which slice of that field becomes your reality. But what about genuine accidents? What about events that feel completely random and external? This is where our definition of chance needs a radical update. From this perspective, chance is merely a term for a cause we cannot perceive. It's an effect whose origin is hidden from our current level of awareness. Imagine an ancient tribe seeing iron filings arrange themselves into intricate patterns on a piece of bark. Without any knowledge of magnetism, they would call it magic, or chance, or an act of the gods. But the moment you introduce a magnet, the mystery vanishes. The effect becomes perfectly logical, predictable, even controllable. There was a hidden cause all along, the magnetic field. Your cumulative mental and emotional state acts like that magnetic field. It is an invisible but powerful force that shapes the probabilities around you. It doesn't cause every single thing to happen, but it creates the conditions of possibility. It bends the odds. Consider 2 people walking down the same street. One is filled with anxiety and suspicion. Their body language is closed. Their eyes are scanning for threats. The other is calm and open, appreciating the day. If a stranger approaches to ask for directions, who is more likely to receive a warm, helpful response, and who is more likely to be met with a guarded, dismissive one? The response the stranger gives is their choice, but the initial broadcast from each person dramatically influenced the probable outcome. Now scale this up, over thousands of interactions and decisions a year. A persistent state of fear, a cause, will lead to missed opportunities, strained relationships, and poor reactive decisions. The effects. These effects then feel like bad luck, reinforcing the original fear. It becomes a closed loop. Your good luck and your bad luck are feedback. They are the universe showing you the score. They are showing you what frequency you've been broadcasting. This implies a staggering level of responsibility. So what about the past? What about the causes we set in motion years ago that are only delivering their effects today? This is where the concept of karma finds its mechanical explanation. It's the law of cause and effect playing out across time. A past action, thought, or belief is a stone thrown into a pond. The initial splash is the immediate effect, but the ripples continue outward long after the stone has sunk. Many of the seemingly random events in our lives are simply the arrival of these ripples at our shore. This explains recurring patterns with startling clarity. Why do you find yourself in the same type of conflict at every job? Why do your romantic relationships seem to follow the same script, just with a different cast? You are meeting the ripples from an old cause, a core belief about your own worth, about authority, about love. The universe isn't punishing you. It's delivering an effect that is still unresolved. The event is a message from your past self, showing you a cause that is still active in your vibration. The good news is that you don't have to passively wait for the ripples to arrive. The moment you become aware of the pattern, you gain leverage. You can change the cause. And that work only happens in one place, the present. The present moment is the only point where you have power. It's the only place where you can introduce a new cause. You cannot go back and unthrow the stone. But you can change your state right now, and that begins to generate a new set of ripples. These new ripples of calm, of self-worth, of forgiveness will travel outward and begin to neutralize the old ones. This is the act of consciously mastering your life. It is moment-to-moment work. It's noticing the flash of anger and choosing to breathe instead of react. It's catching the familiar thought of self-criticism and consciously replacing it with one of self-acceptance. Each time you do this, you are becoming a cause instead of living as an effect. You are stepping up to that balcony overlooking the crowd. Critics of this idea often raise the question of large-scale tragedies or systemic injustice. Is this philosophy suggesting that victims of war or poverty are somehow responsible for their circumstances? The answer is nuanced. The principle operates on multiple levels: individual, collective, and planetary. An individual is part of a collective consciousness, a family, a culture, a nation. The dominant thoughts and fears of a collective create a massive vibrational field, a social magnet that shapes the reality for everyone within it. An individual born into that field is subject to its effects, but the principle remains. Even within that massive storm, the individual retains the power to master their own inner plane. They can choose their response. They can refuse to add their own fear or hatred to the collective field. History is filled with examples of people who maintained their inner sovereignty in the most horrific of external circumstances. They could not control the plane of effects, but they remained masters of the plane of causes within themselves. Their inner state was their own. That is the ultimate power the principle offers. So, how do you begin to apply this? The first step is radical self-observation. For the next 24 hours, become a detective of your own mind. Carry a small notebook or use an app. Every hour, write down your dominant feeling or thought pattern from the previous hour. No judgment, just data collection. Were you worrying about a bill? Were you replaying an argument? Were you feeling grateful? Were you daydreaming about a goal? At the end of the day, look at the list. That is the broadcast. That is the set of causes you introduced into the world today. That list is the blueprint for your near future. The second step is the conscious introduction of a new cause. Pick one recurring negative thought from your list. Let's say it's the worry, I never have enough money. The pattern is to let that thought run on a loop, creating the feeling of lack. The conscious intervention is to create a counter thought and practice vibrating at its frequency. Something like, I am open to abundance and I manage my resources wisely. The goal isn't to lie to yourself if your bank account is empty. The goal is to shift your energetic state from a closed-off position of fear to an open, receptive position of possibility. Saying the new words is the beginning. The real work is to try and feel the feeling of that new state, even for just 60 seconds. What would it feel like to be open to abundance? A little less tension in your shoulders? A slightly deeper breath? That feeling is the new vibration. That feeling is the new cause. This practice, over time, changes everything. You begin to see the connection between a week of persistent anxiety and the sudden arrival of an unexpected problem. You notice how a morning spent in genuine gratitude seems to make the day flow with more ease and synchronicity. You stop seeing life as a series of random, disconnected events happening to you. You start to see it as a coherent, logical feedback loop responding to you. The world becomes your mirror, perfectly reflecting the state of your own consciousness. And while that mirror may sometimes show you things you'd rather not see, it also gives you the ultimate power. If you want to change the reflection, you don't argue with the mirror. You change yourself. Every effect in your life is traceable to a cause. Most of those causes are mental. The good news is, your mind is the one thing you can learn to control. The ballot box of your mind is open, and you can start casting a different vote right now.